right, one more time, thank God it's Friday. And of course, you know that Fridays are very interesting days. And of course, everybody's winding down, taking life a little easy because, I mean, tomorrow is Saturday. And so we can just relax and unwind and smile and all of that. And of course, being the 25th day of the month of May, some people are expecting some bagam and alert here and there. So it's a fun day, actually.
Amazing day already.
All right, it's Fad 3.1 FM Calabar right here in the heart of the city. Your number one talk music and news radio. Okay, I told us earlier that we're going to have somebody, a big fish I must say, and it's rare catching such people as this, but we are glad to have the very great veteran. And of course, he's now on the other side. Those who have decided to look at the nation Nigeria in a better perspective.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give an applause to this when I'm introducing this great man. Omoyele Sowore. And of course, he is a presidential aspirant. And of course, if you know, and you have been aware of the Sahara reporters online and hard copy everywhere around the world. That's the man I'm talking about, and who's right here in the studios. But before he says hi, let me give a rousey round of applause. A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning, Calabar. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the good people of Africa.
Good morning.
It's good to have you. I mean, of course, you're familiar with this terrain, so
yes.
This is not a new place for you.
Yes.
But how do you like our studios? I mean,
oh no, beautiful out here. You know, it's most importantly very beautiful in Calabar. I woke up this morning feeling really good, very energized, refreshed.
Come and rest and be at peace.
Exactly. This is, you know, waking up in Calabar is like taking coffee without actually drinking it.
Oh my God, I like that.
Wonderful.
Let me bail you up for that. Nice one.
Yeah.
Welcome on board, sir.
Thank you.
All right, now, so but before we begin, let's talk about you. Of course, right now you are one of the presidential aspirants in this beautiful nation.
Yes.
What would I say gave you that push, you know, to go to that most esteemed seat with regards to this multiple ethnic, multiple, you know, mindset? People say Nigerians are very stubborn. And it takes a man who's got the mind, who's got the dexterity, and quite a lot of leadership qualities to be able to, you know, put Nigeria in the right path. What gave you that motivation?
The motivation has been coming for 30 years of my very serious political engagement with Nigeria as a nation. And it started when I was a student activist in 1989. I was a freshman at the University of Lagos. And our problem then was military rule. So we fought for 10 years, pushing the military left and right. They pushed us left and right, jailed us, beat us up, tortured us. And at some point, you know, we got them out in 1999. 1999, when elections were about to hold, I packed my bags and left the country.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been 19 years since I left Nigeria. And but I have had this very principled engagement with Nigeria and Nigerian politics. So reported on elections, you know, fought corruption. I've done all kinds of struggles. And one day I wake up and said, you know, I'm tired of allowing my destiny to be managed by people who I don't know, or people who are tired, or who are incompetent, who are mediocre, people who are corrupt. And I'm simply tired of reporting and monitoring elections that produce rogues. And why don't we all, young people in particular, take our destinies in our hands?
Right.
That was what pushed me over the cliff. And so I made consultations with my friends across the world, a lot of principled young people, activists, non-activists, people who have worked in multinational corporations, people who have lived abroad and at home. And there's one consensus that we can all bond together and rescue Nigeria. And contrary to what they tell you, Nigeria is not complex, and Nigeria is not big. Because I've had exposures traveling around the world and seeing how even countries as small as Ghana function and can't, in all honesty, come around here and tell you that Nigeria is a complex country to run, because I've seen more complex societies. I've lived in one before, which is the United States of America, and how people just manage them very well, that, you know, they have electricity, they have schools, they send their children, so they even feed school children. they don't have the kind of problems we have, even though they have more resources.
Yeah.
But I've been to African countries like Ethiopia that faced famine before, which we contributed to solve,
Exactly.
and found them to be super efficient. You know, they run one of the best airlines in the world, whereas we can't even afford to maintain one plane. I've been to countries like South Africa where it's like efficient transportation systems. You know, it takes the train system in Joburg from the airport to downtown is better looking and cleaner than that of New York.
Wow.
Yes, and these are African countries. I have been to countries like the Democratic Republic of what's this place? You know, what's the Dominican Republic? I wanted to say on vacation, and found that these are countries that rely on aid. They don't even have resources like we do, and they have efficient running systems, public systems. So came to the conclusion that we can do it at home. We just can't keep running away, you know. Because the sad part today is that if someone were to come to Nigeria with a Titanic and bet in Calabar at the port here, and tell them that after 2 hours of this ship moving into the high seas, we will all sink. The ship will still be full with people who are willing to run away. And some of them will be senators, so the governors. So we just have to rescue this country for the sake of the people of this country. 198 million people is what they put it at. I think it's a little over that. And what we need to do are simple things. And for us, one of it is basically to light up Nigeria, electricity.
Talking about lights out, not to cut you short, you know, a lot of people have diverse perspective to what the problem of Nigeria is.
Yes.
A lot of people say it's corruption. Some say it's bad leadership. What do you think is the challenge of Nigeria?
It's a little bit of everything. But the core issue is leadership. And when you say leadership, that's also broad and generic. It's character of leaders. We have not been lucky to have leaders with good character. We've had leaders that are either ethnocentric, you know, religiously bigoted. We've had leaders who are incompetent. And in most cases, we have people that are referred to as wicked leaders. And when you put all this together, it boils down to the character of the person who are in position of leadership, or the kind of character they surround themselves with. And except you solve that major problem of having a leader with great character, a leader who is kind, compassionate, and loving of his people, right? You're not getting anything and you're not getting anywhere. And this is why it is important that we focus once and for all on just getting the right kind of leadership in place in the country. The fragmentation and the cleavages you see in the country today will disappear the moment there is social justice brought about by a leader who is compassionate, who is energetic, who is intellectual, a leader who is physically strong as well.
Very important.
Yes, those things are very important, because even for projects to work in this country, in a country of eye service, you have to have the eye of the leaders there so that service can be done, delivered appropriately.
Talking about the divisions,
yes.
What's your take on the political temperature right now, particularly between PDP and ABC and APC? What's your take on it?
We love it. You know, these guys have imploded and they're about to explode. That is why we need young and fresh, idealistic, or ideal political organizations, movements, and parties. We are approaching this from a movement perspective, and that's why we call our movement Take It Back movement. Yes, so we're taking back our country and putting it on the path of peace, prosperity, and progress. Those three P's.
Fantastic.
Yes, and it's doable, it's possible, and it's about to happen. We have just a few months to go. We're just pleading with our people, everybody, to just exercise patience and have their commitment through their PVCs, and let's all vote out unanimously the bad leadership we've had over the last 58 years and put in place new leaders who can take Nigeria, like I said, in a different direction. We could be the tech hub of Africa, even the whole world. Nigeria is and used to be the food basket of Africa. We can produce anything in this country. You know, Nigerians are some of the most innovative people, as opposed to stubborn. You know, what they call stubborn is when you cannot trample over them. You know, but sometimes you wonder, why are you so docile? You know, like 198 million of you being controlled by less than 5,000 of you. So a governor take home 2 billion naira per month as security votes. Worker salaries are not paid for 6 months. All the workers are just there looking, suffering and smiling. So we want to put an end to all of this. We want people to engage with the political process and have majority of us participate in the process in a way that we can have an election that is not riggable. Because in most cases you can only rig elections when, you know, the two candidates are close in terms of vote tally. But if 70% of young people in Nigeria, we have 70% of us below the age of 40. If we are voting an election and we have one candidate, the rest of the 30% cannot defeat us and they can't rig us out. And that is why we must make the commitment. Now, there's no bystander that is allowed in the next dispensation.
Give us a little bit of your antecedents. Why would people need to be a part of this movement?
Because I've been a major force within movements that have intervened in Nigeria. Even when I was way younger than this, I started as early as the age of 18, and like I mentioned, in the university. And the strongest movement at that time was a movement to push out the military from, you know, we wrestle control of our space, democratizing Nigeria. And so we led that movement successfully for 10 years. So many of us, you know, the likes of Gani Fahimi, Beko Ransom Kuti, Wale Shoyinka. I think there's a professor here in Calabar now, Edwin Madanago. He was the writer in The Guardian in those days. Everywhere across the country. Nasir Kura, who was NAS president at that time. All across the country, we had a very cohesive movement, including Ken Saro-Wiwa, who was eventually sacrificed to the IOCs, and MK Abiola, who used to be part of the elite but joined us when he lost out of, you know, there was a elitist conspiracy against him. So a lot of these people have died now, but those of us who are still very committed are here to let you know again that we have antecedent, we have pedigree, and you can join us, and this will be easy to do. And this is a very peaceful movement that is using just a small weapon, which is a chip and a card, a plastic card known as a PVC.
So much, actually.
Yes, that card contains your next bridge, it contains your next school, it contains your next hospital, it contains your next electrical source, power source. That card contains a lot, and that's why you must obtain it, because nobody, the moment you're in possession of that particular document, you are capable of taking your destinies in your hand finally, and voting for whomever you want, and the person you vote for will become the next president, the next House of Rep member, the next senator, the next governor, the next councillor, the next chairman. And all of the good things that has to come with it, you're in possession of it, you're in control. And you know that if they don't do what you want, some of them can be recalled even before the end of their tenure. So you can exercise your right to recall, you can exercise your right to protest if things are not going the way you want. But here is the catch for us, is that we can do this. We know this is doable. And we know that if we do what is right, by this time next year, it will be a different story.
But having stated your vision for Nigeria, how do you intend to achieve all this vision?
Oh, you know, one of the biggest questions people ask me is, where would you get money? Money is a big deal, but the problem is that Nigeria's problem is not money. Nigeria's problem is how money is spent and where it is spent. So we yesterday went to Bakassi refugee camp for internally displaced persons. And if you look at what is needed in that place with 100 million naira, these people, it will sort it out. But some people have raised over 7 billion naira on the plight of the Bakassi people, raising an average of 1 billion naira per year. They've been around there for 7 years. They have no mattresses to sleep on. They sleep on the floor. They have no schools, have no toilets. They have no even borehole water to drink. They have like a small piggery, and then we went to their store where we saw millets. It's like crime against humanity. But here is wicked leadership again pops up, and people are making money off of these guys, but people themselves can't even find water to drink. So wouldn't this problem have been solved the first year of the crisis when they first raised the first billion?
Exactly.
Because even if they had to steal 900 million, the 100 million on top of it would have done the job, and everybody would have been praising them by now. But leaders here don't care. They don't care about us. There's a song by Pink, I think. They don't care about us. They just have no love. They have no care, and they have no conscience. Yes. So the money, just to answer your question, is to implement this, it's a matter of blocking all the loopholes. This is not just about we're making promise, for example, of paying 100,000 naira minimum wage to workers, and people ask us, we've done our calculation. You will only add $1.5 billion to the federal wage bill. That's all. And people in this country stole, 3 people, officially, it's on record, stole 3 billion naira between 2012 and 2014.
And that's just a few.
That's just 3 people.
Amongst others.
Yes, amongst others. So every year we lose $5 billion to thieves, political office holders in this country. So let's assume that we're even able to stop the bleeding by half. That means we have 2.5 billion saved. So we pay workers 1.5. By the way, the workers that we're paying, it won't even cost that much, because we found out in the process of doing our calculation that 21% of our federal workforce are ghost workers. So technology can help you push that out. 80,000 of them were found in the police about a month ago. So you push that out, that means you can then even re-employ younger civil servants who can reactivate and energize the civil service so that it will also be efficient. But our position is that you cannot expect our civil service to work with maximum efficiency when you are paying them 18,000 naira per month. I mean, that won't buy a recharge card for you VJs over here. DJs over here. And you have a situation where you have youth corpers who are supposed to even be earning minimum wage, who are earning 19,000. We want to pay them 50,000 and make sure that they put in their best.
Well, the proposal for the labor union is about 50 to 65,000 for minimum wage. Do you think that is a green light?
Well, they're already discussing 66,000 now since we intervened. The moment we said, in fact, within the period we started campaigning, they had started to implement some of our campaign promises, including already increasing the allowances of coppers.
That's to create some kind of defense. Right?
Yes, so they've also released some funding for some of the roads we highlighted were bad. So already they're in panic mode, but we are saying that it is too little, too late.
Too late.
Yes. And people who have been around for 3 years who didn't do something, who suddenly realize that you are there a year to go, they're trying to conduct some kind of social bribery. And we are tired of using our people for social experiments. We want to treat people with the dignity they deserve, be it workers, our school children, our parents, pensioners. There are a lot of people who we have to intervene on behalf of right away. Fantastic. And we can't afford to wait. We can't afford to wait. And we can't wait for people who don't know how to do it or who use the fire brigade approach. Yes.
That never works.
It doesn't work. There's no reason why people can't also be registered wherever they are. But I think you can also go to, and there's a procedure for writing INEC a letter to say that I'm registered in Lagos. I might end up voting in Ondo State. I just need to write to INEC to say, look, I'm changing my voting location. But ultimately, we would put pressure on INEC to ensure that people can vote wherever they are, including allowing Nigerians who are abroad to vote, diaspora voting. So I started this about 3 months ago, but I've covered the most ground of all the candidates. And in some regards, we've asked that we should even start debating the other opponents, and let's lay out our a vision for Nigeria. I don't want to sell myself short by comparing myself with other politicians. I actually don't see myself as a politician, just as I didn't see myself as a reporter or journalist when I started Sahara Reporters. But he's right, people have to be educated. What we ask for is for young people to withdraw their services from the old people. Because when you talk about rigging, ballot box snatching, assassination, intimidation, harassment, threatening of people on election day or before or after it, is done by young people. If they can all withdraw their services and choose a candidate, and in this case I'm presenting myself, it will be a different day the day after election. Yes.
It just takes a decision, actually.
I know, you know, so you got a plan B now.
Don't you think they have to be enlightened to, refrain from activities?
We will keep talking to them, and that's why we're doing the kind of engagement we came to Calabar to do today. Is to speak to people, interact with them, engage, and take questions from them and suggestions. If you're giving me a motorbike, I ask you, what is your son riding? If you're a politician. If your son is riding around town in a BMW car, and you think that I'm befitting of a bike, that means that you already subjected me to zero-level respect. The second aspect of a swim machine, when they ask you to give you a swim machine, are their children also tailors? You send your children abroad to go to the UK to go to school, and you want my children to be a tailor. That means you put them in perpetual slavery. You want my children to be tailored to your children. Probably not even that, because their children, or they don't buy their clothes from here. They don't wear clothes made in Nigeria. So, but basically, it's for people to understand that the moment someone gives you a sewing machine or a grinding machine or a bike, they're riding you to oblivion. They're grinding your destinies, and all of this will end up in your stomach, and it's called stomach infrastructure. So the next time you ask for your bridge, they point to your stomach. You ask for your education, they point to your stomach.
Yes, they paid you off.
Yes, they've paid you off so that you can be in perpetual slavery. This is a small education we need to let people know. Now, we need a little bit of sacrifice. Everybody's aware that when politicians come around and distribute stuff, it is not their own money that they've come to use to distribute. It's the money they stole from you, or money they're anticipating to steal from you. That is what it means. Because this is not how politics is practiced as well. You sell ideas to people, and when they see that, and it happened before in this country, where people came, sold ideas to electorates, and they won election, and they gave them free education, they gave them free health care. They provided some of the best universities that are now eyesores around the country. They gave us roads because they didn't have to bribe you. The cost of bribing you is also equivalent to the cost of providing the needed services. Because the person who is bribing you will first of all recoup the cost of bribing you times 2,000 first before he will think about you. So he will never think about you because he has already paid you off in advance, and you have now given them a gateway into stealing your future. So people need to understand is that we must keep telling people, and I don't think that it's a hard thing to say, because for almost 20 years now, by next year will be 20 years since we had the return to civil rule. And it's been the same practice, and people know better that these guys don't care.
For the purpose of clarity, would you like to state what you're bringing to the table for Nigeria?
We have an acronym known as SPICER HEAT.
SPICER
HEAT. That's the best way to describe it. And basically it's going to address security, power, infrastructure, anti-corruption, economy, restructuring, health, education, agriculture, and tourism. But there's a T at the end that you can put in bracket, technology. Because technology is the biggest product in the market right now. And Nigerians have bought into it. Nigerians are technologically savvy people. And we think that we can turn this place into the economic tech hub of Africa. But we can't do it without electricity. We can't do it without security.
Let's talk about that. Take the theme, but take it back.
Take it back, yes.
Could you, expatiate on that?
Can you say that one more time?
Take it back.
Thank you very much.
Are you taking it back?
Yes.
Way back.
It's so funny. Some woman talked to me last week, and they said, she took some money from her husband that the husband hasn't given her, and the husband is like, why did you take my money? He said, well, they said we should take it back. So take it back is our own pushback battle cry to take back our country. And if anybody puts some rubbish on you, you can just say, take it back. We're giving it back to you.
I like that.
Yes. So it's all encompassing. You know, it's a battle cry for resistance. It's a battle cry for acceptance. And it's a battle cry for everybody bonding together to go into the Nigeria that we've always dreamt of. The sad part is that since I was born, Nigeria has never worked for me. And the story is the same for a lot of people, including the 1 month old child we met in Bakassi.
It's NEPA. I mean, since we started growing up, we've been shouting NEPA till today.
So we can at least start moving in the direction of having 24 hours electricity 7 days a week. And by the way, anybody who is giving you a generator is telling you that don't expect lights anytime soon.
Never expect light always.
Yes. Nigerians are crying. Nigerians are not the only one who have done this. It is the same battle cry that ended the slavery in Egypt, in Tunisia, you know, in Gambia recently. So Nigeria is not the only country who is yearning for change. And the kind of change we are yearning for is to be lifted out of slavery and bondage. That bondage, the key to our prison is the money that they play with our destiny. They play, you know, the Russian roulette with Nigerian destiny. And we can resist it this time. And I believe, based on what I have been seeing, everywhere I've been, that people are ready. We just need more people to keep pushing, As they say in the Bible, don't you walk around the wall of Jericho and it will fall apart, depending on your consistency and persistence. And, you know, I'm not preaching, but just those are the kind of analogies we need to keep planting in the minds of our people. It will happen. I have no doubt that it will happen. You know, I've never seen Nigerians more optimistic. I'm myself a pessimist. It's required for my job. It's because of experience I've had in this country. But, you know, but a pessimist is a person who expects the worst and hope for the best. An optimist is a person who expects the best and hope for the best. Yes.
We are taking it back.
Yeah, take it back, man.
And like I said, we have fought so many battles and we have defeated them in almost all of them. We fought Abacha, we won. We fought Babangida, we won. We fought Obasanjo, we won. Abdul Salam had to run. Jonathan didn't have a choice. And then Buhari now he has to go.
Yes. He's going back to his village, Daura.
Take it back.
Take it back.